For 50 years, someone licked this wooden post until it ended up looking like this. But you'll never guess the reason why. Stick around to find out as we dive into more jaw-droppingly satisfying examples of Father Time's transformative touch in this all-new episode of The Power of Time. Let's kick off our time journey with a fascinating oddity involving a wristwatch. This ex-watch wearer hasn't worn their timepiece for over 10 years, but shockingly, you can still make out the outline of where it used to sit on their wrist. While regular watch wearers' tan lines are common, why would one stick around for this long? Well, normally, suntans fade as the skin naturally regenerates, but long-term UV exposure can actually age the skin, leading to more permanent changes, including loss of elasticity, thinning, and darkening. With our ex-watch wearer, the skin underneath the watch was spared from this UV-induced cell damage, while the long-term friction of the watch also caused permanent hair loss in the area, making it even more noticeable. Forget tan lines, this pale patch is more like a timestamp reminder to always wear your sunscreen. Moving on now, take a look at this cobbled street. Notice anything? There's a rug right there. If you didn't spot it, this magic carpet spotted in the rainy city of Cluj-Napoca, Romania, has been walked on so often that it slowly melted into the cobbled street below, even accumulating some moss. Regular rainfall weighing the rug down along with the sun's UV rays have faded the dye in the carpet, all accelerated by frequent footfall. Is anyone else tempted to lie underneath this and pretend you've got your very own invisibility cloak? More time-induced invisibility now. We're all used to watching as the leaves' colors transform with the changing seasons, but this leaf found floating in a swimming pool tells a different story, and the explanation is a matter of time and chemistry. Along with a cocktail of other chemicals, the main element used to keep swimming pools clean is chlorine, a strong oxidizing agent commonly used to kill bacteria. When a leaf stays in pool water, the chlorine and cleaning chemicals break down the leaf's pigments like chlorophyll that makes leaves green, carotenes that show off bright yellows, and anthocyanins revealing reds and pinks. Over days and weeks, these molecules slowly disintegrate until the colors vanish. As chlorine chips away at the leaf's softer components, the core structure grows thinner and more transparent. What's left behind is mainly cellulose and lignin, tough chains of molecules that form what's essentially a leaf skeleton. So while a long swim for us may sound like paradise, for leaves it can be a one-way ticket to the ghost zone. This next time-based oddity, by contrast, shows an unusual combination of decay and growth. They say change can grow on you, but in the case of this little wooden dog sculpture, that growing change came quite literally. Now he's turned into the fungi-loving pup you see before you, who definitely has my vote for being the next generation starter Pokemon. I name him Sporador, and he evolves into Wolfshroom. You listening, Nintendo? I'm open to offers. Anyhow, left outdoors and exposed to the cold and damp elements, old Woody Wolferson here has sprouted a fascinating fungal collar. The mushrooms growing on the wooden sculpture are likely Trametes versicolor, commonly known as turkey tail mushrooms. These things often grow on dead or decaying wood where they can thrive for years, typically returning each autumn. Watching mushrooms grow over time can be both a mesmerizing and slightly disturbing thing, as you can see in this incredible time lapse. Man, I could watch that all day. This oyster mushroom farm was filmed for over 2 weeks to capture the footage you just saw before these fruiting bodies were carted off to market. Tell me down in the comments, did that clip gross you out or leave you feeling hungry? I'm kinda in the middle on this one. Returning to all things wooden, take a look at this railing on a pier stretching into San Francisco Bay. Notice those deep rivets carved into the surface? Any guesses on what caused them? Need a few more seconds to fish for clues? You got it. These grooves are the handiwork of countless fishing lines, slowly sawing into the wood over years of patient casting and reeling. Pretty nice view too, eh? Now on to something completely different and way weirder. Prepare yourself for this. Every gamer knows the immersive joys of the perfect headset. But here's the kicker. Clock enough hours with one of these on and time might just make its presence felt in unexpected ways. Some dedicated gamers and streamers have discovered an odd little phenomenon known as gamer dent. And let's just say it leaves more of an impression than their KD ratio ever will. Here's streamer Kurtos live discovering this firsthand.
Dude, the shaver's working like a champ. Dude, I have like an indent right here. This is where my headphones go. I have a headphone indented in my head? What the f? I always thought that was just my hair. I thought just my hair did that.
Oh my god, that's horrifying. Gamer dent manifests as an indentation in the scalp caused by the consistent pressure of headphone bands on the same spot over time. It's the ultimate in-game achievement you didn't sign up for. Despite what viral photos like these might suggest, which are thankfully just hilarious photoshops of streamers Tyler One and Tim the Tatman, gamer dent doesn't actually reshape your skull. It is a real thing, but it's just a temporary surface level effect that can only run skin deep. Kinda like when your watch leaves an indent on your wrist or your socks on your ankles. In fact, according to the National Library of Medicine, it takes a whopping 300 pounds of pressure to even slightly fracture or indent a human skull, and obviously headphones don't pack anywhere near that punch. The gamer dent forms from the pressure compressing the skin, limiting blood flow and squishing fluids out of the area. And luckily, your skin's collagen and elastin fibers let it mold to the band's shape before bouncing back shortly after the pressure's off. So if you ever come down with a spot of gamer dent, relax, your body's natural elasticity has it covered. But if it lingers for more than a day, it's worth checking with a doctor because, God forbid, you might be suffering from gamerism, an incurable time-wasting disease that'll leave you up till 3 a.m. every night trying to get revenge on the 12-year-old who called your mama fat. So next time you gear up for an extended session, don't forget to give your headset and your head a chance to respawn from time to time. From gamer dents to pinky pits, what happens when you wear a ring on your pinky for 9 years straight? Well, this. The deep indentations were causing pain after some weight gain made the ring impossible to pull off, so it had to be cut off instead. Is it satisfying, gross, or both? You be the judge. Another hand-feeling time's grip is this one, which, after a bicycle accident, ended up with a small rock embedded into its palm. Since then, it's been slowly working its way out. When foreign objects like bacteria or small particles enter the body, white blood cells rush in to break them down. But rocks, made from tough minerals, are immune to this digestion. Instead, the cells form a protective barrier around the rock and gradually push it to the surface in a process called spitting, which can take anything from weeks to years. In this case, the stone has been making its slow exit for over 25 years, and one day it'll pop out, alien style. Ew. While the human body does its best to rid itself of foreign objects over time, trees aren't so shy, and simply take the path of least resistance when it comes to growing with the flow. As trees age, their thickening trunks don't avoid obstacles, they embrace them. Like this amazing sight which shows what can happen years later from when you carefully bend a sapling in its early days. This phenomenon, known as edaphoecotropism, happens when a tree's living tissue slowly grows around an object. While it looks super surreal and strange, melding with the surrounding environment in this way is actually beneficial for trees and can provide additional stability, particularly in craggy, rocky, uneven environments. It's a process that can take years, as shown by this fascinating before and after submitted by Be Amazed viewer Jessica from Louisiana. The headstone in question is that of Jessica's great-uncle Berlin, whose grave marker has been nearly swallowed by a nearby oak tree over 14 years. I guess we all return to nature eventually, right? Edaphoecotropism is rarely harmful to the tree, and the objects inside often stay intact. Carve back the tree and you'd find the item perfectly preserved, less chewed and more cuddled. Now that's what I call a natural and timeless miracle. See you in a couple 100 years, treeses! Just as trends come and go, then come back around again like jolly old Jesus himself, time also has a knack for revealing repetition. Take this soda fountain at Taco Bell, where tradition rules as customers consistently top off their orders with the refreshing, exclusive taste of Mountain Dew Baja Blast, a flavor originally created just for the Bell. Elsewhere, over at this hair salon, the owner's clear favorite chair is easy to spot thanks to the well-worn circle of salon life etched into the floor below. And in a slightly less pleasant marker of life, I shudder to think what repetitive behavior is being revealed by these rusted urinal dividers, but I do know it proves exactly why they might just be one of the greatest inventions of all time. Splashback, it seems, is as inevitable as time itself. There's no doubt Father Time has a natural talent for reshaping the world, but when you mix in extreme weather, the results can be both dramatic and oddly satisfying. Just take a look at this time lapse from Massachusetts in 2017, where heavy snowfall slowly erases the details of a car and backyard, burying them beneath a thick white blanket. Or this transformation in New Jersey, where an outdoor deck disappears under 19 inches of snow over the course of 36 hours, one snowflake at a time. Another wintertime time-lapse from Chicago in 2021 captures what looks like a piece of land slowly drifting away from the Windy City. But look closer and you'll see it's actually a massive sheet of ice breaking off from the shoreline and floating into Lake Michigan. So much for being frozen in time. Turns out winter's chill sets more things in motion than you'd expect. From freezing in time to a window of time, this green grass was slowly cooked into a yellow-brown wasteland when a window was laid upon it for a couple of days in 72-degree heat. The glass trapped heat and created a solar oven, stripping the grass of its moisture. This prevented production of the chlorophyll that gives grass its green hue, leaving the browns of the grass's other pigments to become prominent. So grass may be greener on the other side, but certainly not on the underside. A similar sunny shift can be found in this collection of old VHS tapes, their vibrant Technicolor covers fading into black and white relics after years of sun exposure. Judging by the titles on display, this cinematic time capsule may have remained untouched since as far back as 2002. There's also this sun-bleached Pikachu that spent 15 years in a car front window with its newly designed counterpart for comparison. Not looking too healthy there, Pikachu. Pika. On the subject of old versus new, take a look at this well-loved Sailor Moon blanket carrying 25 years of memories, now joined by its brand new counterpart that was thoughtfully tracked down as a surprise gift by the owner's partner. Another thoughtful SO was able to find a brand new replacement for their partner's well-worn skirt, and the side-by-side speaks for itself. In a more extreme example of stuff worn down by love at first glance, this childhood plushie with its antler-like head details might pass for a reindeer. But a peek at a brand new version reveals it's actually a cat. These twin teddies likewise may have started out identical, but here's the interesting part. The one on the right isn't even brand new. Gifted to two brothers, time has revealed that one bear's received just a little more love over the years. More years of playful memories on display now. This now two-tone deck of playing cards are the result of playing Euchre, a game where only 24 to 32 cards from a standard 52-card deck see any action depending on the variation. The result is this distinct cross-section of both heavily touched and untouched cards. Kinda gross when you realize that's the result of human bodily oils and filth, but let's keep it wholesome, shall we? Onto a deck where every card has felt the love now. Check out how the edges of these playing cards have reshaped after 10 years of daily play. The grooves on the top and bottom show the most wear, right where people typically grip decks when shuffling. This deck belongs to a Redditor's Nana, who played with these cards every night with her late husband and insists on continuing to use them to remember him. I'm not crying, you are! From one timeless romance to another now, but here time has left a slightly less wholesome mark. Located in the Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris, this is the grave of French journalist Victor Noir. Over 130 years later, the elements have done a number on him, but certain parts of his bronze statue have remained suspiciously shiny. But how? Well, the green stuff is called verdigris, which forms on the surface of exposed bronze as it reacts with oxygen over a long period. Spots touched more regularly wear down this verdigris layer, polishing the metal beneath. But why are visitors to this particular cemetery giving Victor all this affection? In 1870, Noir was sent on behalf of a friend to arrange a duel with Prince Pierre Napoleon Bonaparte. a nephew of Emperor Napoleon I. But things turned heated, resulting in the prince blasting Noir into oblivion. 20 years after his death, a tomb for poor old Victor was commissioned, resulting in this astonishingly realistic portrayal. Every detail was painstakingly rendered, from the hairs on his head to the wrinkles in his clothes. But one detail stood out from the rest, the prominent bulge down south. Deleuze's creative choice quickly turned Victor's life-sized effigy into a symbol of fertility. Legend says that dropping a flower in his hat, planting a kiss on his lips, and touching his lucky charm guarantees romantic bliss for life. Between the tomb's long history and steady stream of visitors to Père Lachaise each year, Victor has likely received hundreds of thousands of kisses and touches, maybe even more. All this heavy petting has left unmistakable marks on Victor's lips and his little Victor Jr. I wonder how he'd feel about all of this. From lingering touches to more fleeting fingertips that still paint a very clear picture of time's effects. Spotted at the Roman Forum in Athens, this Braille tourist information plaque doesn't seem as though its contents held the attention of visitors for very long. If you look closely, you can trace the journey of fingers as they attempted a tactile tour of history, only to falter after discovering just how lengthy of a read they'd been tasked with. The well-worn parts of the sign make it clear that most readers gave up on this Braille behemoth, skipping straight to the final line in a last-ditch effort to uncover something captivating. Time has a funny way of sneaking up on us, changing things so gradually we don't even notice until we see the differences side by side. Take these two sets of stairs nestled in the Rocks, Sydney's oldest neighborhood that dates back to 1788. These rugged stone steps have been there since 1829, bearing nearly 2 centuries of footfall, in contrast with the smooth modern set constructed in 2005. Over in ye olde England, the worn steps of Westminster Abbey tell their own similar story about the building. The final resting place of over 3,000 famous Britons, from Edward the Confessor to Stephen Hawking, the Abbey has stood for almost 1,000 years. But its history isn't only found in its tombs, it's carved into its very structure. Scattered throughout, iron thresholds like these showcase indelible indents shaped by centuries of footsteps from the roughly 1 million visitors who step through each year. But at this point, it's less of a step and more of an opportunity for stubbed toes. From stepping or stumbling into the past to seeing time's writing on the walls. This mesmerizing image, captured in Oakland, California, reveals layer upon layer of spray-painted graffiti peeled away, creating a vivid cross-section of urban art. And it's not just graffitied walls that reveal the combination of paint and time. Even painting tools themselves can become instruments of art history. This paint stirrer is caked in layer upon layer of paint after 10 years of DIY projects, with hints of the rare moments the user strayed from their favorite eggshell white. Another stir took a more colorful approach, and honestly, the more I look at it, the more it's making me really want a jawbreaker. But while those pieces of artistry built up over time, this next one was slowly chipped away at by an adorable artist of a different kind. This banister turned labor of love scratching post is the result of 11 years of dedication to a little-known creative technique called letting your cat out of your sight for a few seconds so it can claw your house into oblivion. See how proud he looks? While pets may come and go in our lives, many leave indelible marks on both our hearts and our homes. This scratching post was kept in place in memory of Swizzles the cat after she passed away. R.I.P. Swizzles, your claws will never be forgotten. In a slightly different vein, this kitty leaves its mark by following the exact same path through the grass each day. Can you spot the little rascal responsible for this one? Oh, hey little buddy. Meanwhile, these perfect circles are the handiwork of none other than man's best friend and their daily zoomies. The less perfect circles that dot this lawn, however, mark one pup's favorite stops for a tinkle. Dog pee has a high concentration of nitrogen, which is crucial for the healthy growth of plants, making bladder juice a surprisingly great fertilizer. Not so great for those who hate having a patchy lawn, though. Now let's return to something I hinted at earlier. Any final guesses on who's behind the mystery of this worn-down wooden post I mentioned at the beginning of the video? Well, hint hint, the answer might not hit you until the cows come home. That's right, this post was shaped by over 100 curious cattle passing the time in their pen by licking away at it over decades. Cows have a natural craving for salt and minerals, nutrients that are essential for their nerve functions and overall health. If their diet doesn't quite cut it, they'll instinctively search for other sources, even if they're technically inedible. According to the photographer of this post, the pen's soil is highly saturated with water due to groundwater building up close to the surface. Porous wood acts like a sponge when it comes in contact with water, absorbing the mineral-rich groundwater. When the water evaporates from the wood's surface, it leaves behind a salty, mineral-packed residue, creating a gourmet salt lick for the cows. Over the decades, it's likely this post has been licked millions, if not tens of millions of times. Slowly but surely, the relentless action of the cow's strong, sandpaper-like tongues wore it down into the smooth hourglass shape we see here. Holy cow! I just hope cow tongues are strong enough to resist splinters. Ouch! Those cows clearly have a favorite post for licking, but humans express plenty of preferences that become apparent with time too. This post office has been welcoming customers since 1934, and it's clear they've all had the right idea about which handle to use when walking in. This chrome-wearing, brass-revealing handle-hogging phenomenon is more common than you'd think and actually reveals something interesting about human behavior. It's thought around 90% of people are right-handed, instinctively using their dominant hand for everyday tasks, and occasionally the evidence ends up on door handles like these. But sometimes things take a surprising turn. Take this example sent in by our viewer Matvier, where the left door handle sees the most action. My guess is that the right side door is permanently locked. But what do you think might have caused this uncommonly left-handed twist? Let me know in the comments. Let's move from doors to the keys that open them now. This keyhole bears the scars of countless missed attempts, almost like a game of pin the tail on the donkey, but with a key, leaving behind a telltale ring of scratched evidence. Then there's this battered surface that tells the 15-year-long story of this key's routine of being picked up and put down in the exact same spot. Pretty fascinating how much damage such an insignificant seeming object can do given enough time, isn't it? And finally, after over 20 years of being a silent passenger on a car's roof rack, the section of this key left exposed to the elements is rusted away while the part that's been tucked inside the lock remains shiny. A real-life key to the past. If you've ever seen the musical Oliver, you'll remember the classic tune, "You've got to pick a pocket or two." But what Fagin and the gang didn't know is that in the 21st century, some favorite pairs of jeans are making that job easier than ever. This jean pocket has grown so accustomed to holding a phone that it's developed a worn outline where it always sits. A lot of denim is designed to fade with wear, creating a pleasant, natural distressed look. The whitish outline we see here happens because hard objects and pockets create raised areas that face more friction during movement, causing the dye to wear off faster in those spots. Over time, the fading becomes permanent and the corners of the phone can eventually lead to thinning or holes in the fabric. Keep it up and pickpockets might just find themselves out of work because those phones are bound to tumble out all on their own eventually. But hey, fast forward 50 years and your grandkids will probably be begging for your vintage pair of phone-faded jeans. Oh boy. Got any photos or videos of worn-down treasures you'd like to show off? Send them over to stories@beamazed.com with your name, and who knows, you might make it into the next part of this series. Until next time, thanks for watching.